organized famine of 1931 to 1933 became an unforgettable tragedy in the history of the 20th century. It spread to many regions of the Soviet Union, especially to main grain-producing countries such as Ukraine, North Caucasus, the Volga region, Kazakhstan, and the southern Ural. Therefore, there were many people of different nations deprived of food, but in this work we want to research the causes, the impact of hunger exactly on Kazakhstan, and what consequences it brought to the Kazakh people. The main reasons of famine: the cruel selection of meat carried out by the withdrawal of livestock from Kazakhs by the government, the necessity to prepare agricultural products, meat, grain, and send them to Russia, increase in the amount of taxes, and finally, Stalin's collectivization of agriculture. During the years of collectivization in Kazakhstan, 696 farms were confiscated, while 619 farms were expelled from the district of residence. 145,000 heads of cattle were expropriated from them, when about 114,000 cattle were distributed among collective farms. In addition to livestock, 333 ewes, 475 houses, 44 barns, 534 other buildings, 108 plows, 113 harrows, 284 mowers, 1,367 bricks were confiscated. In 1932, Gabit Musrepov, Mansur Gataulik, Mutash Davletkaliyev, Embergen Altynbekov, and Kadir Kuaneshov wrote a letter to Goloshokin about the plight in the Kazakh steppe, in which they accused him of collectivization and of destroying the incentives of the population to develop animal husbandry. The deputy chairman of the Council of People's Commissars of the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, Traraskulov, in his letter to Stalin in 1933, also pointed out the plight of the Kazakhs, that by the summer of migration, famine and epidemics among refugees had taken threatening proportions. In the letter, he proposed measures to save the Kazakh people from death, offering to raise animal husbandry by distributing livestock to Kazakhs in private ownership. The government ignored all letters and thereby concealed the real state of affairs. All authors of the letters were subsequently subjected to repression.
Due to starvation, 665,000 Kazakhs fled in the famine with their cattle outside Kazakhstan to China, Mongolia, Afghanistan, Iran, and the Soviet republics of Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Russia in search of food and employment in their new industrialization sites of Western Siberia with 900,000 head of cattle. The Soviet government worked later to repatriate them. This repatriation process could be brutal, as Kazakhs' homes were broken into with refugee and non-refugee ethnic Kazakhs being forcibly expelled onto train cars without food, heating, or water. 70% of the refugees survived and the rest died due to the epidemics and hunger. Refugees were integrated into collective farms as they were repatriated where many were too weak to work, and in a factory within Semipalatinsk, half the refugees were fired within a few days, with the other half being denied food rations. Another estimate is that 1.1 million people fled, the vast majority of them Kazakhs, as the refugees fled the famine. The Soviet government made some attempts to stop them. In one case, relief dealers placed food in the back of a truck to attract refugees and then locked the refugees inside of a truck and dumped them in the middle of the mountains. The fate of these refugees is unknown. Thousands of Kazakhs were shot dead and some were even raped in their attempt to flee to China. The flight of refugees was framed by authorities as a progressive occurrence of nomads moving away from their primitive lifestyle. Famine refugees were suspected by OGPU officials of maintaining counter-revolutionary buy and kulak tendencies, which was reinforced by some refugees engaging in crime in the republics they arrived in.